Throughout China's imperial history, while many rulers governed with wisdom and vision, others ruled through fear and brutality. These emperors abused absolute power, leaving behind legacies of violence, oppression, and dark secrets that still shock us today. This video reveals China's darkest emperors, the tyrants who defied morality, eliminated enemies without mercy, and dragged their dynasties into chaos. From paranoid purges to cruel punishments, we examine history's most ruthless rulers and expose the truth behind their reigns. If you appreciate our historical content, we'd be grateful for your support. Please like and subscribe to help us continue sharing these stories. Here are some of the most notorious examples. Gao Yang, the drunken tyrant. Ruling the northern Qi from 529 to 559, Gao Yang began as a competent leader, strengthening the military and easing taxes, swiftly making his kingdom China's dominant power. However, his growing addiction to alcohol twisted him into a monstrous figure. Once a respected ruler, Yang descended into madness, indulging in grotesque acts. He began an affair with his wife's sister, then forced her former lover, Prince Gao Yue, to kill himself. Bored with her, he had her executed, then fashioned her leg into a macabre musical instrument and displayed her head at his feasts. His drunken rages demanded constant victims, so his prime minister kept a supply of prisoners on hand for his whims. Even his mother, Empress Duo Yijielu, wasn't spared. After an argument, he threatened to marry her off to a barbarian. Overcome with guilt, he vowed to quit drinking, but relapsed within days. Tofun Tima, the decadent boy king. Crowned at just 13 in 1333, Tima became the longest reigning Yuan emperor, but also one of the most irresponsible. His chancellor, Bai An, proposed executing 90% of the population, those with common names, but Tima was too busy indulging in orgies, dressing as a monk, and building lavish stages for dancers. While floods and epidemics ravaged his empire, he designed water clocks and pleasure boats for his private lake. His neglect cost him dearly when rebel leader Zhu Yuanzhang, founder of the Ming dynasty, seized Dadu in 1368. Tima fled to Mongolia, where he died miserably from dysentery in 1370. Sun Hao, the vengeful butcher, ruling from 242 to 284, Sun Hao started well, lowering taxes, punishing corrupt officials, and freeing concubines. But he soon abandoned duty for wine, women, and executions. Obsessed with beauty, he demanded officials present their daughters for his harem. He butchered those who displeased him, like Chen Shen, whom he sawed in half for scolding a maid. At feasts, he forced his court to drink. Those who refused were beheaded, drowned, or mutilated. Even his own family wasn't safe. When his sons, Sun He and Sun Ba feuded, he ordered one to kill himself and exiled the other, just to end the nuisance. Lu Ji, the paranoid. Kinslayer. Lu's reign lasted just 1 year, 364, defined by his terror of betrayal. Convinced his relatives plotted against him, he slaughtered them mercilessly, starting with his brother and rival, Lu Zilwan, then his own heirs. He exterminated loyalists of the previous emperor, yet his paranoia didn't stop him from engaging in incestuous affairs. His reign was a whirlwind of bloodshed before his inevitable downfall. A legacy of extremes. China's history is a tapestry of genius and horror, visionary rulers alongside monsters who wielded absolute power with terrifying cruelty. These emperors prove that even the greatest civilizations can be scarred by the darkest human impulses. China's history reveals even more shocking tales of imperial depravity. One particularly disturbing account involves an emperor who forced his aunt Lu Yingmei to submit to his desires, then murdered his uncle, He Mai, after discovering his opposition. As a gruesome trophy, he preserved He Mai's eyes in honey, calling them pickled ghost eyes. This same ruler engaged in an incestuous relationship with his sister Liu Shuyu, even providing her with numerous lovers when she complained about his many concubines. The imperial court became a den of debauchery, with the emperor orchestrating orgies between princesses and his personal attendants. The madness finally ended when his uncle, Liu Yu, Prince of Zhongdang, arranged his assassination. Another infamous ruler, King Zhou of the Shang dynasty, 1175 to 1046 BC, created grotesque pleasure gardens featuring pools of wine and meat hanging from trees. He would float in his canoe surrounded by wine while forcing eunuchs and concubines to perform naked for his amusement. Those who displeased him faced brutal punishments. Some were beaten unconscious and thrown into a pulp trough, while others endured the burning flesh torture, forced to embrace red-hot bronze cylinders until they died in agony. Even his wise uncle Bi Gan fell victim, having his chest cut open so Zhou could examine his heart. China's sole female emperor, Wu Zetian, 690 to 705 AD, proved equally ruthless. She murdered her infant daughter to frame a rival, then drowned the accused empress in wine before poisoning her own husband to seize power. During her reign, she eliminated 15 bloodlines and maintained a secret police force to root out dissent. In her later years, she surrounded herself with young male concubines who turned the court into a den of vice, while claiming to be a Buddhist incarnation through her lover, a high priest. Remarkably, she avoided the violent end typical of such rulers, abdicating peacefully in 705 AD. These rulers demonstrate how absolute power bred unimaginable cruelty in China's imperial courts. With unlimited authority and no accountability, they transformed their darkest impulses into reality, leaving behind a legacy of bloodshed, perversion, and terror that still shocks centuries later. Their reigns stand as stark warnings about the corrupting nature of unchecked power and the human capacity for evil when all restraints are removed.